All right. Hello and welcome to today's presentation. I'm Laurie Silvey. I'm the State Chair for Illinois Employer Support of the Guard and Reserve. In my day job, I work for the Illinois Chamber of Commerce as the Vice President of Business Services, so I approach ESGR from the employer side of things, and we appreciate the Effingham Chamber being a part of this ceremony today. ESGR is a volunteer organization within the Department of Defense aimed at bettering the relationship between employers and their reserve component service members. So first of all, I'd like to go ahead and introduce Michael Holub. He's our Vice Chair with Illinois ESGR. He's a former police chief and has been involved with the Illinois Committee for many years. So he's just going to provide just a short briefing on ESGR and USERA. Mike?
Okay. Let me put up my presentation and we'll go through this rather quickly. As Laurie said, we are a Department of Defense organization, been around since 1972, and we have a committee in all 50 states and several of the territories that represent the soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines who live in that state. And our end state is to bring a good relationship between the civilian employers and their service members who work for them. You can see there's our 4 pillars. We advocate. We don't advocate for one side over the other. We advocate for the law. We do recognition in the form of awards recognizing outstanding supervisors and companies that do things really well. Inform, which we do a lot of. We do a lot of briefings for groups of employers, and we also do briefings for service members. And then we do mediation through our ombudsman, and we try and reach a resolution if there is a conflict. Just some interesting facts. I have the Illinois snapshot, but we have about 24,400 plus men and women who are residents, citizens of the state of Illinois, who are serving in one of those 7 components. That's the 2 guards and the 5 reserve components. Obviously, well, not obviously, but the largest one happens to be the Illinois Army National Guard at over 10,000. And you've seen a lot about them lately. So what are the requirements of an employer? I like to sometimes say real simply, you have to let her go and you have to let her come back. So you do have to grant military leave of absence and reinstate them promptly when they return from their duty, whether it's their annual training or a long deployment. You have to restore their seniority as if they were never gone. I use the example of Laurie and I, if we were similarly situated in our company with our starting dates and I were to leave for a year deployment, once I come back, I rise to the level of where she is. So my seniority counts. That's a credible service. And we have to provide them with the skills and the benefits, if that means refreshing or retraining them. And then the big one for us is not discriminate in hiring, whether it be employment or pre-employment, promotion, or giving benefits. If you were to say, Michael, I'd like to have you as my weekend supervisor, but you're just not reliable to me because of that guard thing or that reserve thing, that would be a mild form of discrimination. And sometimes it's very obvious, sometimes it's not, so it's a little more subtle. So we're always on the lookout for those type of things. Ultimately, it comes if you're treated differently in any way as a service member because of your military service. And by the way, that's where a lot of employers get themselves in trouble, and not knowingly, but they get themselves in trouble by accident because they think they have to do something a little bit different for service members. And we like to remind them that this is no different than any other leave that your organization may have, whether that's an educational leave, a family medical leave, a maternity leave. A lot of times employers will get themselves in trouble if they try and make up a little bit different set of rules because of the military. Health plans. If you have an employee that's going to be deployed, they may take advantage of some military health plans, but if they choose to stay with you, you have to keep them in the plan. You can charge them a little bit more for that administrative cost. And then again, if they return, they don't have to wait for a re-enrollment period. You have to allow them back in the plan if they don't stay with it upon their immediate return. Pensions, their time gone is considered credible service. They have to continue making their contribution. However, that is credible service for their pension and their retirement programs. Reemployment position, we see that term for return to normal is the escalator position. They have to go back to where they would have been had they never been deployed. And if they're returning to work, you have to give them a somewhat similar position. Now, we know that companies change and circumstances change, but you can't demote them or downgrade them as a result of their service. So you have to do your best effort to return them to as close to, if not the exact position that they left before their leave of absence for military. And they're protected from discharge. We have had some bad stories. They haven't come recently because we're getting more and more compliance and fewer complaints. But you can't discharge someone because of their impending deployment or while they're on deployment. As a matter of fact, you have to keep them for a certain period of time after they return, except for cause. So obviously, if an employee commits some egregious act after their return, you can discharge them and that wouldn't be protected, but under normal circumstances, and again, it goes back to can't be a discharge because of their military service. We have a number of awards that are available for employers, and I know, speaking for myself, this is one of my most favorite things to do within ESGR is to give an employer an award. It starts off with one called the Patriot Award, which is specifically for an immediate supervisor. So as Laurie mentioned, I was a police chief. And I became involved with ESGR because I had about 5 of my officers who were either reserve or guard members, and I wanted to know about that and know what I needed to do for them and what I needed to expect from them. And because of their treatment by our municipality, they recognized me and a couple of the other supervisors with the Patriot Award. And again, the nice thing about that is that wasn't for my department or my municipality. That one was for me and a supervisor. Some of the others continue to go up higher and higher, and they are for the company, especially when we see multiple awards for the same organization. We recognize that within ESGR and we'll move them up to those others, to including the Secretary of Defense National Freedom Award. And we have a winner from Decatur from 2019. ADM, Archer Daniel Midlands, was one of the 15. There was only 15 a year of those Secretary of Defense National Freedom Awards. So we're very proud of them for that. Statement of support, Laurie's going to talk about that, and Scott's going to talk about that a little bit, but it's a way for you to acknowledge your support, and I'm not going to dwell on it since they will cover that. So we have a number of ways to contact us. We like to let people know that, once again, we are advocates. But we are not. We don't take sides. We're impartial. We advocate for the law. We try to bring people into compliance through education and mediation on occasion. We have a number of ways to reach us, which are listed there, and we know you can get a hold of them. But we hope that you'll consider us as a resource to both sides. You know, we're talking to the E part of ESGR today, but we're available to both sides of that equation, free. We're confidential. We like to resolve these things, and we do so at well over 80% of the issues that come to us. And generally, it's just a phone call to get people into compliance. So that's my short story about it, and I'm going to return the screen back to you all.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Next, I'd like to introduce Scott Klein, who's our co-director for employer outreach and a current Army reservist. So, Scott, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Thank you, Laurie, and thank you, Mike. And thank you to those that are participating. I'll be brief, and you might have heard some of the conversation that we were having just before going live with the recording. But as you can tell, we are a very active committee here in Illinois, very committed to supporting those that serve in the National Guard and the Army Reserve. I'm privileged to be one of those people that are supported, so I sort of wear a dual hat. I am an Army Reserve officer with a military police unit that's actually, I'm preparing for a deployment right now over the coming months. So thank you to those that are participating for your support on behalf of all of us that are that serve here in the state of Illinois and around the country. I got involved in ESGR because I know the balancing act that we that we have in being a citizen soldier and trying to be exceptional in everything that we do, whether it's in our military service as well as in our civilian career. So the Statement of Support program is really important, and we're excited to have you make that pledge and show your support today. It's the cornerstone of the ESGR efforts to gain and maintain employer support for the Guard and Reserve. And fun fact, the very first Statement of Support was signed in December of 1972 by the chairman of the board of General Motors. So as you can see, there are large and small companies that make that pledge. Since this era of COVID hit here in Illinois, we have really led the nation in statements of support being signed exactly in the way that you are doing today. Doing this virtually, we made a commitment that in 2020, we're not going to write off this year and say, since we can't travel, we're not going to get these the strong statements, the strong pledges, the strong commitments from employers around the state of Illinois for those that serve. So thank you for being a part of history with us today. Thank you for taking the pledge, and we're looking forward to working with you and hopefully seeing you. Perhaps in the future, we have the opportunity to re-sign these pledges, and hopefully the next time we do that will be in person. But again, thank you again. I appreciate it, and congratulations.
All right. Thank you, Scott. So as Mike mentioned, one of the things that we do with Illinois ESGR is to ask employers to show their support by signing a statement of support and displaying it in a prominent location within your organization. So I'm just going to briefly read the part that shows what you are pledging. We fully recognize, honor, and comply with the Uniformed Services Employment and Reemployment Rights Act. We will provide our managers and supervisors with the tools they need to effectively manage those employees who serve in the Guard and Reserve. We appreciate the values, leadership, and unique skills service members bring to the workforce, and will encourage opportunities to employ guardsmen, reservists, transitioning service members, and veterans. And we will continually recognize and support our country's service members and their families in peace, in crises, and in war. So if you will at this time virtually sign your statement of support. And if you were able to print it out, that's fine. And if not, then we'll just give it an acknowledgement, and that's all we ask. So, all right. Thank you so much for participating. And if Norma or you, Sharon or Rick, if any of you would like to just let everybody know why you were signing, we'll ask you to go ahead and do that next. So I don't know if Sharon, Rick, or Norma, I'm not sure which of you wants to go first, or if you want to say anything at all.
Norma, I can say something real quick.
Yeah,
Sure.
Sharon, go ahead.
Okay. We've been supporting this for several years. We have people in the Guard at all three of our locations. In fact, we had one just come back this past Monday, and we have someone else due to come back in October. So it has been our honor to be able to sign this and show our support for the National Guard at all three locations. So
Thank you.
And I would just thank you, Sharon and Siemer Milling Company, for joining this. I know early this year, Laurie was in Effingham County giving a Patriot Award to Mark Probst at Probst Auto Body. One of his people was deployed. I know some of those folks are coming back. Being located where we are and having a National Guard armory in our community and having many people involved in the Guard and Reserve, we're happy to support the effort and to encourage our businesses, our members, to support it as well. I know that the Chamber, I can't remember how long ago it was when we signed our first statement of support. It's been at least 15 years or longer ago that we started showing that support. So happy to continue encouraging businesses to take part in this effort.
All right. Thank you, Norma. And we appreciate the Effingham Chamber of Commerce working to put this together today. And I'm going to send you a bundle of paper statements of support. So if you have an opportunity to distribute those around the community, we would appreciate that as well.
Great.
All right. With that, I will go ahead and end the recording. All right, and we are complete.
Okay, thank you.
Hey,
All
Norma,
right.
does your statement of support from 15 years ago have a number of stars across the top of it?
I'll have to go look at it. It's hanging
Yes,
downstairs in
some
our
of the older ones, it was you got more stars the more times you signed the statement of support, going from 1 up to 5 stars. So,
Okay.
yeah, sometimes I walk into locations and I say, "Well, it's been a while since you signed a statement of support. We don't use the stars anymore," but
Okay.
I'm willing to bet that yours might. So, thanks for renewing it.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Scott, if you want to stay on, we can talk.
Perfect.
Okay. So I know that you said you talked with Ron Bocci last night.
I did. So so we talked about doing that on the 27th, I think it was, the 27th, doing that for the volunteers, and so he responded that no, he couldn't, and I know that you rethought about it, and so it worked out. So instead, he wants to do it, and he actually recruited also, I think I forgot what he called it, but the Italian American. He's signing for the museum, but there's, I think, a newspaper or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so he recruited them as well. And so he invited me to present at their board meeting, virtually, of course, on the 22nd of September. And we will do a signing for both entities there. And he gave me a list of his board. And he offered basically to let me do a full-blown presentation to hopefully get a couple of others.
Very good. Yeah.
Set with that, the 22nd. If you are free, he didn't send me the link yet, but if you're free, you're more than welcome to join. I think it's 7 p.m. on September 22nd. Once I get the information, I'll forward it to you. And then if you're available, great. If not, that's okay.
Yeah, my son's having surgery that day, so I kind of doubt I will be. So
Okay, no problem. So I got that covered, and he, he's old school, so he actually printed out the copy.
Oh yeah.
Has it ready. He says, I'm not doing that whole virtual, doing it on the screen thing. He says, I'll hold it up.
Okay, well, that's fine. Yeah. And, if you want Mike to participate with you, I'm sure you can always ask him. He's always up for a presentation without any questions. So that's fine. So we've got the 2 this afternoon. And let's see, then the 31st.
Monday. No, then we have Monday afternoon.
Oh, that's right. Monday at 10 and then the 31st. So
the 31st, and then we'll get those September ones. And then I am talking to the CoC Chamber. I was corresponding with them during our call yesterday, and they are likely also going to be probably the first week in September. And they think that they'll have actually a crowd. So that's good. It just took a little bit of maneuvering around the whole Teams thing.
Yeah.
So they are going to, actually looking at the email, let's see. Give me a whole to-do list. They made a big deal.
Right.
It's all right. It's fine. Where is this? Okay. Let's see. All right. So we're agreeing on the date and time. They're putting it into Chamber Master.
Okay.
Then they are going to, what they want to do is they're going to have the registration go through them.
Okay.
We will update the flyer because you have the draft. So we'll update the flyer. They'll create the registration link, and then we will provide the meeting link and any event updates. And then they're going to promote it in e-blast and social media. And if we could get through all that, then we'll be good to go.
Okay, that sounds fine. And I will also send you that spreadsheet with all the Patriot Awards that we've just mailed out over the last couple of months. So I think that's a good opportunity to get some of the area chairs involved in these as well, because we can invite them to participate, and maybe they can even help facilitate putting some of them together. Yeah,
that'd be great. I think that we, sort of like we discussed the other week, we do need to get some more people going. We're doing well, but I mean, it's just we have so many more opportunities. So let's take it. And then I know Christy mentioned a while ago regarding SHRM, or maybe you mentioned SHRM. Do you think that there's any opportunity to push through the world of HR?
I believe so. They have their conference coming up virtually let's see, I think it's the third week of September. And I thought maybe we could get them to give us a 15-minute block to do a presentation to SHRM. So I'll see what I can do about that. But there's also the regional groups all around the state. And I'm a member of Central Illinois SHRM, and Christy's a member of Metro East SHRM. So I hope that we can get into one of their quarterly meetings here before the end of the year too. Okay,
that's cool. That's awesome. And then do you actually now I'm thinking about it. So the podcast obviously that I've been doing with Robert. What do you think about me inviting Colonel Layton to on to talk? No, actually no, I'm rethinking that. I'm trying to think of something unique angle. No, I want it to be ESGR focused.
Okay.
So I've never met him, but is Colonel Easter, is he like back?
He is actually out after he got back, he had all kinds of leave built up, so he had to go off for 3 weeks. He'll be back on the 24th.
Okay, so maybe I'll follow up on that because I think he might be an interesting guest to have on if you think it would be appropriate.
Yeah, that would be fine. And then just as a suggestion, Lieutenant Colonel, I think he's a Lieutenant Colonel still, Parisian from down at Scott Air Force Base with the 932nd.
Mm-hmm.
He always puts on a boss day in November. And I think that would be an opportunity since I'll be doing it virtually this year. He might be a good one to have on your podcast too, because he's going to be wanting to reach out to additional people from around the state to invite to that. So
cool.
That might be a good one for you. I'll get you his contact info and make an introduction for you.
Okay, that's awesome. And I should have mentioned this before, but actually our last guest that we just had was State Rep Stephanie Kifowit, who is a retired Marine. And she, at the end of our interview, I mentioned ESGR, and she basically offered to open doors with the chambers and businesses in the area. I think her biggest city is Naperville, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But she's constantly pushing veteran message out, so I think she could be a good resource too. So,
okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, sounds like we're going to be busy.
yeah, I hope so. It's good. And then by the way, I have my orders, so I am leaving on December 6th.
Okay.
And then I will be a month at Fort Bliss and then down in Cuba.
Okay.
Don't exactly know how long, but we'll see. But once I know, I think over the next few months, I'll know a lot more about what sort of responsibilities I'll have. But I'm going to have a lot of free time, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted.
Well, at least the time difference isn't horrible then.
Oh, exactly. That's I trust me. That's a huge advantage to.
Yes.
Yeah, that my schedule will align with schedule back home, which is great.
Right. Yep. Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Have a good day. I will talk to you later.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks. Bye.